Before we even start, can we take a moment to recognize how good of a job Google did with this color? Ultramarine iPhone, you ain't sh**. This is the Google Pixel 10, and right off the bat, I've gotta say it, something about this year feels different. And I recognize that could be an odd thing to say because in many respects, this phone is so similar to last year's Pixel 9, so much so that it can seem like it's nothing more than an Apple-inspired minor spec bump. But no, this year feels like Google has finally figured out what the Pixel wants to be from an identity standpoint. For the first time in a long time, the Pixel lineup doesn't feel like it's just reacting to Apple or Samsung or chasing after specs it can't quite match. No, it feels confident, like Google is just standing there saying, yep, this is who I am, take it or leave it. And the big takeaway is simple. The Pixel has never really been about specs. It's always been about the experience. Now, the real question is whether Google actually delivered a better experience with the Pixel 10, and honestly, it's a little bit complicated. Let me explain. But before we jump into it, I know I'm gonna get asked in the comments, if you guys want the wallpapers you see in this video, make sure to subscribe to the JSL newsletter. I send subscribers out a brand new full-res wallpaper every single week, as well as links to really good tech deals and fun articles written by yours truly. It's totally free. The link to subscribe will be in the description down below. So let's start with the hardware because Google clearly wants us to notice it, which again, is kind of funny because at first glance, the Pixel 10 looks basically identical to the Pixel 9. So you get the same squared off edges, the same flat rails, the same camera visor that still screams, yep, this is a Pixel. If you set the Pixel 9 and the 10 side by side, you'd probably only catch a couple differences, like the camera bar is a little bit chunkier and the G logo on the back is ever so slightly bigger. And of course, there's the new colors like this indigo that I have here that no doubt looks really nice. That's about it, and honestly, that's not a bad thing. The Pixel has kind of been throwing spaghetti at the wall when it comes to figuring out its design identity, and I feel as though the form factor of the Pixel 9 finally hit the right tune. It's clean, distinct, instantly recognizable with its signature Pixel components, and definitely worthy to be up there with the likes of Samsung and Apple when it comes to build quality and execution. Both the front and back panels are made with Gorilla Glass Victus 2, and the frame is made out of spacecraft-grade aluminum, so Google didn't skimp out on the premium build materials. 1 week later, the frame to me is the real design element that makes the Pixel feel like a flagship device. It's the part of the phone that you feel the most in your hand, and Google has done a great job of seamlessly integrating it into the glass on both the front and back. Now, there's a hardware change that I really love, and that's the Pixel Snap, which is basically Google's adoption of MagSafe. It's magnets, it's simple, it's clever, and surprisingly addictive. You can grab a charger, a stand, or a wallet, and boom, it just snaps on. For the first time, it actually feels like there's an ecosystem of accessories that just work with the Pixel, and I love that Google didn't try and do their own thing here and just add MagSafe compatibility. It's so great that I don't have to buy a separate MagSafe charger or anything like that. I think it's a positive when companies don't try and recreate something that really isn't broken. Now, when talking display, it's very similar to what we got last year with the Pixel 9 with a 6.3-inch OLED panel that comes in at a 1080p resolution. You still get a nice 120Hz refresh rate, which makes navigating around the software feel nice and smooth, and the screen on the Pixel 10 can get slightly brighter now, coming in with a peak brightness of 3000 nits compared to the 2700 nits on the Pixel 9. You get the same in-display fingerprint reader for biometric security that's still faster than the older Pixels, but not as fast as what I've seen from the Samsung flagships. When it comes to what's new inside the Pixel 10, the most notable upgrade is the new Tensor G5 chip, Google's latest rendition of their in-house mobile processor. It's the first Pixel chip manufactured by TSMC, moving away from Samsung fabrication, which historically has lagged when it came to efficiency and overall speed. Being on a 3nm node, the G5 has more transistors to be packed onto the chip, which should in theory increase the power and efficiency compared to the previous generations of the Tensor. Now, 1 week later, I'll say that my day-to-day user experience hasn't shown any noticeable leaps in speed, mainly because it already did fine in these areas, so scrolling through social media and playing the occasional mobile game is kind of a piece of cake. I also haven't noticed any throttling or thermal issues yet. Let's hope those growing pains of the Tensor are fully things of the past, but yeah, so far so good with the G5. Now, one subtle update that is low-key great is the increased battery size. It now has a 4,970 mAh battery. It can also wirelessly charge at 15 watts now, not the fastest, but happy to see that it's finally Qi2 certified. But here's the real story. The Pixel 10 is much less about the hardware and way more about the software. I'd say roughly 80% of what makes this phone interesting comes down to Google's new AI features and the refreshed Pixel UI. Material U has now evolved into something called Material 3 Expressive, and yeah, it sounds like the name of an emo rock band, but in practice, it makes the whole OS kind of feel alive again. And for once, it doesn't feel like Google is about to just throw this all away 6 months from now. Much like the physical design, it feels like this is a vision they're willing to stick with. And of course, no Pixel launch is complete without a mountain of AI features. The Pixel 10 is basically AI in your pocket. Now, some of them are genuinely useful, like the call translation that actually mimics your voice tone, or Magic Q, which feeds you relevant info mid-conversation so you don't have to dig through other apps. Of course, the camera-specific features like Camera Coach, which literally guides you on how to frame your shot. Now, some of these feel like game changers, some feel like gimmicks, but the good news is, thanks to the Tensor G5 chip, a lot of them run directly on device, which means less lag, fewer errors, and more privacy. 1 week later, in all honesty, I haven't really used a lot of the new AI features, but I have been particularly impressed with the upgrades to Gemini, Google's AI assistant. You can now edit photos in Gemini using simple written or voice prompts, and it's surprisingly effective. Take for example this image here. I can tell Gemini to do something like change the color of my shirt, and not only will it do a really convincing job, it doesn't alter my face into some scary version of myself. This sounds like a small thing, but Google kind of cracked the code for AI modification while keeping the subject consistent, and it's seriously impressive. But let's talk about the cameras, the thing Pixels are best known for. The Pixel 10 finally adds a proper triple camera setup with a telephoto lens, and that's a big deal, especially when you pair it against a very notable competitor, the regular iPhone that only has 2 cameras. The catch though is that Google swapped in the mid-range 9A sensors for the main and ultra-wide cameras, so technically the base Pixel 10 has worse main sensors than last year's phone. The gamble here is that most people would rather have the versatility of a telephoto rather than just quote-unquote better sensors. It's a pretty risky gamble, but honestly, they may be right. In good light, photos continue to look punchy with more contrast, and the telephoto absolutely smokes anything you'd get with digital zoom. Google does rely on their computational photography magic, which is definitely part of the equation here, so in good lighting, you'd be hard-pressed to notice any major difference in the quality of the Pixel 10 still images. The same kinda goes with video, something that the Pixel was never too great at. The Pixel 10 can still shoot some pretty decent 4K video with these watered-down sensors, but in low light, the compromises start to show their ugly faces. Photos are noisier and the glare is more noticeable, and video takes a clear step back compared to the Pixel 9 Pro. 1 week later, I would have personally preferred a larger and more capable main sensor that could shoot better video rather than the addition of a telephoto zoom, but this does make the Pixel 10 a lot more of a versatile device and significantly increases its value. So where does this leave us? If you're a spec nerd that makes a purchasing decision based on just a spec sheet alone, the Pixel 10 is likely going to frustrate you. The traditional benchmarks aren't that impressive, the sensors are technically worse, and the design hasn't really changed that much at all. But if you care about the experience, like the AI features, the polished software, the little conveniences like the Pixel Snap, the Pixel 10 feels like the most confident Pixel Google has ever made. It's not trying to beat everyone at their own game, it's trying to play its own. And for the first time in a long time, it kind of feels like Google actually knows what that game is. Now, I'm not ready to call my final verdict yet. AI features need time to learn your habits, and I want to see how the Tensor G5 holds up after weeks, not days. But my first impression is that the Pixel 10 is a smart, stable, and a really fun phone. And that's something I honestly haven't been able to say about a lot of the Pixels of the past. But hey, that's just me, and I want to know what you guys think. What do you guys think about the new Pixel 10? Are you feeling like the Pixel finally has an identity? Or do you think it's not enough by Google? Curious to get your thoughts. Let me know what you guys are thinking in the comments down below. And in case you guys missed my long-term review of the Pixel 9a, definitely check it out here. You're not going to want to miss it.